This webinar will provide a deep dive into GMetrix Training Mode within the student dashboard at gmetrix.net. We will review training versus testing, uses for GMetrix Training Mode within your classroom, and provide strategies for individual and whole class usage. In an effort to get the most out of this webinar, I encourage you to have materials for note-taking and to log into the GMetrix student dashboard at gmetrix.net. I will start by pointing out that GMetrix practice exams are based on the certification exams and mimic the testing environment. These tests will be the best option for gauging certification exam readiness. Both training and testing modes cover the same questions and material, but there are some differences. Let's take a brief look at testing mode. Testing mode has an enforced time limit that matches the time limit of the certification exam. Additionally, no help text is available and no feedback is provided until the test has been submitted for grading. Testing mode is great for when you're comfortable with the material and you want a more accurate check on how well you will do on the certification exam. Now let's focus on training mode. While the test does time you, there is no limit. We will talk more later on why this is useful. The availability of the help text feature, which can be a light bulb icon or a question mark depending on the test, provides you with information to help you answer the question correctly. Learners are provided immediate feedback to let you know whether you got the question right or wrong and gives you the opportunity to correct your answer. Training mode is great when you're still becoming comfortable with the material because it allows you to get quick feedback and learn why you do or don't understand the concept. Both modes allow you to mark questions for review, reset a question, save and return later, and skip questions, mimicking the certification exam. Now we will navigate to the GMetrix student portal and access a test in training mode. Navigate to gmetrix.net and then enter your username and password and choose Sign In. The opening screen is your dashboard and displays your most recent activity. I do want to point out here the Tell Me About This page. If you're ever having trouble with this page and not sure what to do, you can choose the Tell Me About This page and it will take you on a tour of the page and explain the components. On the left-hand navigation menu, you want to choose Test and New Test. The Take a Test screen will open and it will have a list of all of your products. You will choose your product and then choose your category. You may have to choose more than one category. It will vary based on the product that you have selected. For instance, if you have selected Microsoft, you will likely have Word, PowerPoint, and Excel on the next screen. Once you're to the screen where you're able to select a test, you want to determine what test you're going to take. When you hover over it, choose Training Mode, and the test will open. I will now pause here to give you time to open an exam in training mode. Each question has a unique question ID. If you feel that a question might have inaccurate information or needs to be reviewed by our content team, you may submit a support ticket at support.gmetrix.net. Please include the question ID when submitting the ticket to assist us with locating it. You may notice that your question is different from mine, and many of your students will have the same question in a different order, and some will have questions that others don't. This is due to GMetrix's extensive bank of questions built to ensure that learners are adequately prepared and have varying attempts to understand the concepts. GMetrix also provides multiple question types, which are determined by the test, category, and product that you are training on. Testing types include matching, multiple answer, and you want to be careful here because many students will miss questions like this because they did not read the part where it says choose 3. So please encourage your students to make sure that they read the entire question. Other types are true, false, stimulus, and multiple choice. Please note that this is not meant to be a full list of all of the question types within GMetrix, and it will vary depending on your category and product that you are testing on. We also have available tests that provide practice through hands-on practical tasks. These tests can be delivered live in-app or through the cloud. Let's have a look at this matching question. What I'm going to do is ensure that I do get some of the answers wrong so that I can show you what happens when a student gets an answer incorrect. Once I've used all of the choices, I will choose next. It tells me that my answer is not correct, and it gives me an explanation of why the correct answers. It shows me my answers so I can see which ones that I got wrong, and then I can also see the correct answers over here. Once I review the explanation, I can go back to the top and I can change my answers and get them correct. And then once I correct them, I can choose next, and it will tell me my answers are correct, show my answers, and still I have an explanation. Whether a student gets the question right or wrong, you want to make sure that they are reviewing the explanation and understanding why the answers are correct and what the correct answers are with each question. Reviewing the explanation is especially important if a student gets the explanation incorrect. The explanation is there so that the student can self-remediate and understand the concept so that they can get it correct on future questions. One of the strategies that I encourage is to have students write down what it is that they did not understand about the questions that they got incorrect. I have often found that it is vocabulary as to why they got the question correct. There is a word within the question that they did not understand or know what it meant. They were doing this matching question that we have here, and they don't know what the terms mean, so it makes it hard for them to complete. Utilizing vocabulary on a daily basis within the classroom is also a good strategy to help the students learn what the words mean and recognize terms that they will see continuously when preparing for the certification exam, as well as using the software. If you have purchased a LearnKey curriculum to help with your test preparation, they do have a glossary that has the terms and descriptions that you will find consistently throughout the test. You have the ability to create flashcards, a memory game, as well as a quiz to utilize in your classroom and help your students. LearnKey also provides reference materials, and with those reference materials is a student workbook. The student workbook contains a glossary that includes the terms that you will find in the practice exams and the actual certification exam. These are a good way to, and this is printable, and these are a good way to practice with your students. You can put them on note cards and have your students draw them at randomly and be able to tell you the term as well as the definition. You can have, again, your daily vocab. You can create flashcards with them. You could even have them as entrance and exit exams for your students. I would suggest that students have a mini notebook while practicing in training mode. We all know that when students are taking practice exams and learning concepts, that there will be many that have questions. And with your students having different sets of questions in front of them, it will be hard to go between all of the students within one class period. If they have this notebook handy, they can write down any questions or some concept that they are having trouble with, and then later on when you're able to get to them, they know what it is, and it'll be easy for you to have a conversation with them and help them to understand. This can reduce the students' and a teacher's frustration and also lead to a student asking informed questions and having enough information so that you can actually provide them with the help that they need. As a reminder, following each question, whether the student gets it right or wrong, there is an explanation of the question. Be sure to remind your students to read that explanation and make sure they understand it, whether they get the question right or wrong. We will now take a pause to give you time to answer a few questions and review the explanations. The test will be graded and a score report generated and shown immediately once a student chooses Submit. Score reports can be accessed later in the admin panel under Reports. Please review the Reports webinar for information on how to access and in the student portal. To access your score report in the student portal, you want to choose Test and Completed Test. You will have all completed tests on your screen, and you will be able to choose the test that you would like to see the score report for. You will notice that each completed test tile does contain the name of the test, the score, and the date and time completed. This is important because you will often take a test more than one time. By looking at the date completed and the score, you will be able to tell which test that you are trying to access the score report for. Your score report contains the name of the test and the time spent on test. Again, when you are in training mode, the test is timed, but you have an unlimited amount of time. Knowing how long it takes you to take a practice exam is important because when you're taking the actual exam and the exam in testing mode, you will be on a 50-minute countdown or whatever time is allotted for that particular exam. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring your time spent while doing practice exams so that your time is decreasing. That way you will be sure to complete the exam, the testing exam, as well as the actual certification exam within the allotted amount of time. Also on the score report, there will be encouragement regardless of the score. So whether you pass or fail, you will be told that, and you will receive encouragement. You will also have your score out of 1,000 points, as well as out of the number of points on the test. You will also be told the number of points or the number of questions you need to get correct in order to pass the exam. There's also a breakdown by question, and this correlates with the objectives here. So it gives you the objectives and it tells you how many questions out of each objective that you were able to get right. And then it has a key here, the red the yellow, and the green. And this key, it correlates here with the green, letting you know that you did score 81 to 100% on each objective. And then if you go to objectives here, you have all of the objectives, the 3 objectives that are on the exam, and it tells you the red being the objectives where you scored 0 to 50% at, green being 81 to 100%, and then the yellow 51 to 80%. Utilizing this information with the objectives is very important for student remediation. They can utilize this information, go to the study guide, and create their own custom exam. This eliminates the need for the teacher to create custom exams for each individual student, but also allows the teacher to be able to create their custom exams based on overall class objectives that need to be identified. The student can take their learning into their own hands here and accelerate from a student to a learner by doing the self-remediation. In the questions tab, students are able to view the names of the questions that were on the exam. The red X indicates that the question was incorrect, while the green check mark indicates that the question was correct. Choosing review allows the student to review the objective, the question stem, their answers and correct answers, along with the explanation. Again, please ensure that your students are reviewing the explanation for the questions, whether they got it correct or incorrect. This will help them to understand the concepts. There's also the option of the study guide, which will give them an overview of the question, and a video will be available that will explain the question. Another opportunity for remediation and review, students are able to choose resume review, and it will bring up each question one at a time that they missed, and they are able to answer the questions and review the explanation. Choosing go to study guide allows the students to go to the GMetrix study guide, where they will be able to see statistics based on several practice tests taken, as well as create their own custom exams based on the objectives that they need to focus on. Please review the GMetrix Study Guide webinar for more information on how to utilize a study guide effectively within your classroom. I will now pause here to give you a moment to open a score report as well as the GMetrix Study Guide and review them. Another great tip I want to leave you with is utilizing training mode and custom exams for days when substitutes are in the classrooms. Students are able to review their study guide and determine what areas they need to focus on. They can then choose View All Questions, select questions based on the areas needed to be reviewed. You will notice here that it tells the items selected and the approximate amount of time that will be needed to complete. They go to the gear, they are able to choose training mode or testing mode, and then choose Start Test. Within the custom test builder, students are also able to see all of the questions that are on the exam, depending on which exam you are practicing with, as well as the explanations and whether or not they have had that question in one of the practice exams that they took. If you want to take it easy on the students, you do also have the option of having them to just do a quick review. A quick review allows the learner to see how many questions are in their developmental area, decide how many they want to answer, and choose testing or training mode. It is recommended that they select at least 20 questions as a starting point so they can get more useful preliminary performance data. Remember, the more tests that are taken, the more the study guide can help prepare for success on exam day. GMetrix Training Mode is a great way to prepare for a certification exam, practice your skills, understand skills. It can be utilized in group study, individual study, self-remediation, and immediate feedback. Combining GMetrix Training Mode and custom exams are a great way to further learning for your students as well as have a successful testing season. Lastly, I did reference several previous webinars in this webinar. All previous GMetrix webinars can be found on the GMetrix YouTube page at GMetrix Support. Thank you for joining us. I want to invite you to stay connected with us through the GMetrix Facebook and LinkedIn pages. Also, like and subscribe to the GMetrix official YouTube page to receive instant alerts of new content postings, review previous webinars, and our FAQ channel where we will be posting videos addressing the most frequently asked questions. If you have a FAQ that you would like us to do a video for, please make sure to include that on their survey.